Yes, Tess, Claudia and the judges emerge in sparkling new outfits. Yes, there is a brand new welcome and a reprise of past performances. But in reality, the whole juddering juggernaut is accomplished in a single inhumanly long sitting on Saturday. This 2 for the price of 1 technique began when the late lamented Sir Bruce Forsyth, in his 80s, could not face schlepping to Elstree 2 nights on the trot. The practice endured for reasons of streamlining and economy, and became wholly dependent on the goodwill of strangers. Think of the multitudes relied upon to keep stum. An honor-bound code of secrecy was kept by audiences, cab drivers, caterers, cleaners, scene shifters, hair and makeup artists, the entire crew and a colossal cohort of journalists. It was as if there was a sacred trust, kept until the ungodly moment when a mole went whistleblowing to Strictly superfan Dave Thorpe, who spilled the beans on his Twitter stream. The Strictly spoiler at 11:30 p.m. on Saturday night, ruining the crescendo of anticipation like a giant party pooper. The team are scurrying to identify the source. When they winkle out the baddie responsible for trampling all over the crisis-gripped nation's fun, they should be hoisted onto the 4th plinth in Trafalgar Square and forced to watch Anne Widdecombe murder a paso doble while the crowd pelts them with stale bath buns. I recall the agony of this omerta from my 2013 stint. Think about it. You are exiled from cha-cha-cha heaven. Yet all through Sunday, enthusiasts are congratulating you and asking about your dance for the forthcoming week. You want to blurt out the awful truth: they booted me off. I'll never rip James Jordan's Velcro open again. I won't worry about slipping and skidding into Sir Brucey and sending him flying ever again. My heart is broken. You just cannot. You have not even revealed the truth to your family. There are tears behind your rictus smirk. You know that in a matter of hours, when the results show hits the screen, your downfall will be hellishly revealed. 9 years on, I am still smarting. Touching royal gesture while taking our floral tributes to Her Majesty to Buckingham Palace recently, my grandchildren Zeke, 8, and 7-year-old narrowly passed a plethora of Paddington bears. How delightful were these offerings reclining among the roses and freesias. Many owners had also provided jars of marmalade to sustain their bears through the long wait. The late Queen would have loved the idiosyncratic yet eminently logical juxtaposition of furry Peruvian bears with pithy preserves, fragrant flowers and heartfelt notes. How pleased she would have been to know that once the teddies had been given a nice warm bath, they had been given to Bernardo's, one of her favorite charities, and thoroughly enjoyed by the children it supports. This is recycling at its imaginative best, and Paddington's creator, the late Michael Bond, would have been chuffed to bits too. Riotous Robbie's slapstick routine. I met Robbie Coltrane once. We sat in adjoining makeup chairs in a Scottish TV studio and I have never forgotten it. Some folks sit quietly as the slap goes on. Some make desultory chit-chat with the beautifiers. Not Robbie. He performed an entire impromptu stand-up act for their delectation. Each giggle inspired him to flights of fresh fancy. He was superb but must have arrived on set exhausted. I wondered if his need for praise was insatiable? Or was he so hilariously creative he just could not stop the flow? Then, while feeling so sad, I read in an obituary that Rick Mayall told Robbie he would be the funniest man around if he could only reproduce on stage the performances he gave in other people's living rooms. It added that it would be a long time before Coltrane discovered the courage to be ordinary in private. Major grumbles over the jewel in Netflix's Crown. Netflix flagship series The Crown is certainly a seductive beast. Once watched, a scene can never be unseen. Although our heads tell us that the private conversations between members of the royal family depicted must be sheer invention, they are so convincingly executed that we absorb them instantly and cannot conceive of any other way in which events could have happened. Now we hear from former Prime Minister Sir John Major, who furiously dismisses discussions that he is portrayed as having with the then Prince Charles about the Queen abdicating as damaging and malicious fiction, and a barrel load of nonsense. It makes me wonder if we are too willingly complicit in a manipulative game should the streaming service be compelled to put untrue and utter hogwash in huge letters across the screen? Dame Angela's Fantasy Ireland. Picture the scene. You are in the rural idyll that is exquisite East Cork, and so close to the Atlantic that when the only road reaches the waves you must turn around or fall off the edge of Ireland. Then a familiar figure comes into view. Inspection reveals it to be Dame Angela Lansbury stalking through the sand at a rate of knots. The star rescued her children from the drug dens of Hollywood by fleeing to the Emerald Isle, and gave up work for a year to devote herself to their rehabilitation. She retained a house in the area to which she was devoted and is remembered by her neighbours, myself among them, with considerable affection and respect. Sharing is caring. Surrey University has found that emotional eaters and dieters tend to force food on their other halves. It is obvious really. Offering your spouse snacks stops you eating them yourself and simultaneously grants you the vicarious joy of seeing cake being chomped. My long-suffering fiancé Ben will confirm that my gastric bypass not only delivered me from temptation, it also absolved him of the need to demolish all the pies I used to push in his reluctant direction.